In this video, we will discuss about basic rules of integration. So altogether, we will have 5 basic rules. So let's go through one by one. So the first basic rule states that whenever we integrate k with respect to dx, then our final answer would be kx plus c. And here, k stand for any constant. Apa maksud constant? Apa-apa nombor yang boleh lah. Contohnya, for example, let's say I want to integrate 3 with respect to x. So 3 dx. Then our answer would be 3x plus c. So dx kat belakang tu represent variable that we want to integrate. So if we have dx, then our answer would be 3x. Let's say I change the variable. So I want to integrate 3 du. Then our answer would be 3u plus c. Because kita ada with respect to u, then our answer would be u. Okay. Now, moving on to the second basic rule. If we have x to the power of n, where n also stand for any constant, any number, any constant, any number, but n cannot be equal to -1. Itu syarat dia. N boleh apa-apa je nombor. Nombor negatif boleh, nombor positif boleh, yang tak boleh -1. Okay, then our rule would be x to the power of n plus 1 divided by the new power plus c. Plus c tu mesti ada kat hujung. Dia punya package lah kat situ. Why we must put plus c at the back? You have to refer back to the video about relationship between differentiation and integration. Okay. So let's go through the first example. So in this example, we have x to the power of something. Ada x, ada kuasa yang melibatkan constant. So kita nak check one by one on how to integrate this function. So first one, we have x to the power of 4 with respect to dx. So our integration process now will be x, ingat, plus 1, our power, and then divide by the new power plus c. Kalau tak nak tulis one by one macam ni, awak nak straight away simplify your answer pun boleh, tak ada masalah. So our final answer straight away will be x to the power of 5 over 5 plus c. Okay. Now, moving on to the second one, we have x to the power of 1 over 3. We have a fraction on our power. Tak ada masalah, it's still a constant. We still can apply the same rules. So now we will have x to the power of 1 over 3 plus 1. And then divided by the new power, still copy the same thing, plus c. If we simplify this out, we're gonna get x to the power of 4 over 3 divided by 4 over 3 plus c. But then something wrong here. Why? Because we have a denominator. In denominator part, we have a fraction. And that cannot be a simplest form. So for final answer, we have to flip it over. So our final answer here would be 3 over 4 x to the power of 4 over 3 plus c. Baru dia jawapan tu jadi cantik. Okay. Moving on, next one. So we have x to the power of negative half. Still a constant. Sekarang tiba-tiba dah lah fraction. Ada negatif pula. But not to worry. We still apply the same rule here. So now what happened will be negative half plus 1 divided by the same thing. Copy je tak ada masalah. Plus c. Okay, now simplify one by one. Careful. It's involving negative fraction. So here we will get x to the power of half over half plus c. And same as before, we cannot have a fraction on denominator part. So you have to flip it over. Now our final answer will be 2. X to the power of half we can rewrite as third of x plus c. Simple kan? Okay. Next one. Last one for x to the power of x. We have 1 over x to the power of 7 dx. So we want to integrate this. So first main step, most important part, kita kena munculkan kuasa tu dulu. So we have to rearrange or manipulate this function. We can rewrite this as x to the power of -7. And then straight away from there, we can directly integrate this one. So we get -7 plus 1 divided by the same thing plus C. And final part, if we simplify this up, we get negative 1 over, because we have a negative power, so I put it on denominator part. We have 6x to the power of 6 plus C. Most of the time untuk final answer, kalau kuasa tu negatif, kita tak tulislah dekat bahagian atas, kita bawa turun bawah terus. Okay. Saya nak highlight kat bahagian D. So, bila kita jumpa tu melibatkan fraction kat sini kan, kita ada 1 over. We must rewrite it back in the form of x to the power of n. Sebab tu tadi saya tulis semula dia jadi x to the power of negative 7. Okay, ajaran sesat yang selalu saya jumpa, student akan selalu buat benda ni. Ni ajaran sesat saya tunjuk. Okay. Dia tak tukar jadi power negatif. Dia straight away terus integrate benda ni. So, apa yang berlaku nanti tiba-tiba dia buat je. Oh, x kuasa tambah 1. Copy back je. Plus C. Lepas tu nanti dia dapatlah jawapan mengarut. 1 over x to the power of 8 over 8 plus C. Nampak macam, senang betul kerja dia kan. Lepas tu, dia jadi mengarut je lah. Tak ada apa-apa yang betul kat situ. Salah di sisi hukum matematik Tak boleh. Kita tak boleh apply rule seperti biasa macam tu because it's not in the form of x to the power of n. So, remember this. So, kalau kita jumpa dia ada fraction, then munculkanlah kuasa negatif tu because we following the rule of x to the power of n. Okay, so settle with the second rule. Now, kita pergi next basic rule, rule number 3 and number 4. So, if we have a k times with fx, we can bring our constant, k here in this case is a constant, outside of our integral. Okay, contohnya, okay, let's say I have integral 2 sed x dx. So, 2 here is basically a constant. So, kalau kita tak nak serabut kat situ, we can bring it outside of our integral. So, yang tinggal nanti, sed x dx. Tinggallah satu function je yang kita nak kena integrate. Lagi simple. Okay. And then next rule, rule number 4, whenever we have addition or subtraction of two different function, kita boleh separatekan dia. Kalau function tu melibatkan hasil tambah ataupun hasil tolak, then kita boleh integrate term by term. Tapi ingat, mesti hasil tambah ataupun hasil tolak. Saya highlight kat situ, addition or subtraction. If it's involving multiplication or division, then tak boleh. Kalau dia melibatkan hasil darab ataupun hasil bahagi, then kita tak boleh pecahkan benda tu. Nanti kat 1.3 kita akan go through macam mana nak integrate kalau melibatkan multiplication or division. Okay, let's go through next example. So, we have to integrate 2x squared minus 1 over x squared plus x dx. Okay, kat sini kalau kita fokus tu, we have 3 different terms. So, we can apply our basic rule just now. Satu-satu tu kita pecahkan. Kalau tak nak buat, nak terus rasa macam dah terror, nak terus straight away integrate, boleh, tak ada masalah. Cuma kat sini because we want to discuss about basic rule, so saya tunjuklah apa yang boleh. Okay, so we focus with the first term first. We have 2x squared there. So, 2 is basically a constant. So, we can bring it outside of our integral. So, yang tinggal akan jadi 2 integral of x squared dx. So, kat sini perhatikan betul-betul. Saya dah buka satu integral and then saya mesti tutup dia balik. So, that's the first term. Okay, next kita proceed kepada second term. Second term, we have 1 over x squared. Careful there, we have a minus. So, minus integral because it's involving negative power. So, munculkan negative power tu, hati-hati. So, we have x to the power of negative 2 dx. So, same as before. Saya dah buka integral baru. So, saya kena tutup juga integral tu. Okay, and then we proceed with the last term. So, for last term, we have x. As it is lah. You tak ada apa-apa yang kita perlu ubah kat situ. So, we have to integrate x dx. Sama juga untuk the third term, saya dah buka satu integral. So, saya tutup semula. Mesti ada dx at the back. So, now term by term, we can integrate separately. So, start with the first term. We have 2 outside of the integral. So stay as it is. Jangan usik dah dua tu. Duduk kat luar diam-diam. So now we only have to integrate x squared. So it will be x cubed over 3. Saya tak tunjuklah satu-satu kuasa tambah, bahagi kuasa baru tu. Okay. Next one, minus with, careful here, it's involving negative power. So we will get x to the power of negative 1 over negative 1 plus with the last term x. So we get x squared over 2 plus c. So plus c ni cukup kita letak kat hujung as a single constant. Because kita tak tahu constant dia apa kan. Tak perlulah awak first term awak integrate ada plus c. Second term ada plus c. Hujung pun letak plus c. Tak perlu sampai ada 3 kali c kat situ. Satu c je dah cukup. Because c can represent any constant. So letak satu kat hujung cukup. Okay. And then last step, we have to simplify our final answer. Rewrite lah secantik yang boleh. Carefully simplify. Macam ni contohnya saya tengah bulatkan. It's involving negative. So akan jadi plus kat situ. Kuasa kita kuasa negatif. Saya terus tukar jadi fraction. 1 over x plus x squared over 2 plus c. And that's how you integrate term by term. Okay. Kita cuba lagi satu example. So we still have 3 different function here. So saya pecahkan satu-satu. Start with the first one, we have surd x. So kalau saya munculkan kuasa, careful, surd x is basically x to the power of half. Okay, moving on to the second term, we have 2. So that is basically a constant. I can bring it outside of the integral. Now, our function is cube root of x. Lies on denominator part. So it's involving negative power. So rearrange it back. We get x to the power of negative 1 over 3. And then plus with the last term, we only have a constant 2. Okay. Now we can integrate one by one. Careful, it's involving fraction there. So first one, half plus 1, we will get x to the power of 3 over 2. Denominator part has the same constant. Okay, moving on to the second term. 2 lies outside of the integral. So x to the power of negative 1 over 3 plus 1, we will get x to the power of 2 over 3 divided by the same constant. And then last one, we want to integrate 2. So we get 2x plus c. Kat hujung, jangan lupa. And then moving on to the final step, same as before, we cannot have a fraction on denominator part. So you have to simplify this up. Basically, just flip it over. So we get 2 over 3, x to the power of 3 over 2. Next one, 3 over 2 times 2. So we get 3. X to the power of 2 over 3, and then last one plus with 2x plus c. Okay, settle with this basic rule. Moving on, our last basic rule is whenever we have a linear function to the power of n. So what I mean by linear function? X is to the power of 1. So kat sini dia letak contoh ax plus b lah. Itu memang general form untuk linear function to the power of n. So how do we integrate this? So basically you just have to copy back the function ax plus b to the power of n plus 1. Maksudnya kuasa tu kita tambah 1 seperti biasa divided by that power. But then we have an extra step here where you have to differentiate what's inside the bracket. Function linear tadi tu kita kena differentiatekan plus c. Okay, so if we have this, tadi saya kata linear to the power of n. What is n here? N can be any constant except negative 1. Satu je syarat dia. N tak boleh sama dengan negatif 1. So n can be positive number. N can be negative number, and then n can be a fraction. N tu kuasa tu apa-apa pun boleh. Kuasa yang sangat besar boleh, kuasa yang sangat kecil boleh, kuasa melibatkan pecahan pun boleh. Yang tak boleh, negatif 1. Satu tu je cerita dia. Okay, so let's check it out, the example. So first one, we have 2x minus 1 squared. So kat sini ada dua option lah. Selalu kadang-kadang student akan ada tendency nak pergi expand dulu and then integrate one by one. Boleh, tak ada masalah. But if we apply this rule, would be easier lah. Lagi cepat kita dapat jawapan. So what do we do? First step, copy back the function and then power plus 1. So 2 plus 1 we get 3 divided by that power. And then next step, jangan lupa you just have to differentiate what's inside the bracket because it's only involving linear function. Tak ada masalah lah kan. So derivative of 2x minus 1 would be 2. And then don't forget to put plus c at the back. So you have to simplify your answer here. We will get 2x minus 1 cube over 6 plus c. Okay. Settle with the first example. So, kita try once again with the second one. We have 2 plus 7x cube. Kalau cube pun kita dah nampak dah kan. Kuasa tu agak besar. Tak logik awak nak pergi expand sampai 3 kali. Lepas tu nak integrate satu-satu. Membazir masa. Okay. So, what do we do here? Copy back the function. Kuasa tambah 1. So, to the power of 4. And then don't forget you always have to differentiate what's inside the bracket. So what we get here? 7. And then don't forget to put plus c at the back. So simplify this up. Our final answer would be 2 plus 7x to the power of 4 over 28 plus c. Simple kan? Okay. Kita cuba next one bila dia melibatkan pecahan pula kat bahagian kuasa. So next we have 4 third of 2 minus 5x dx. Alright. So 4 here, careful, is just a constant. Dia tak kacau pun integrate kita tu. So we can bring it outside of our integral. So what is third? Third is basically function to the power of half. So if we check this out, what's inside the bracket kat situ is a linear function. So we can apply the same rule just now. So what do we do here? 4 stay as it is. So untuk integrate function tu, copy back our linear function. Power plus 1, so half plus 1, we get 3 over 2. Divided by that power, don't forget. And then differentiate what's inside the bracket. So we get negative 5. Siaplah proses integrate. Jangan lupa mesti letak plus C. Now, we have constant kat situ. Hati-hati simplify. Tak nak confuse, tak nak careless. Tekan je lah calculator. From there, we get negative 8 over 15. Copy back the function. So, 2 minus 5x to the power of 3 over 2 plus C. Siap. Senang kan? Kalau kita faham rule, then tak ada masalah. Okay. We proceed with the last example for basic rule. So here we have two different function. Ingat rule tadi kalau ada plus kat tengah-tengah ataupun minus, kita boleh pecahkan dia. So kita pecahkanlah dia dulu. So for the first function we have 3. That is a constant. We can bring it outside of the integral. Now our function lies on denominator part. So kalau kita bawa naik atas, dia jadi kuasa negatif. Tak ada masalah. So to the power of negative 3. Okay. How about the second function? Second function involving third. So, saya munculkan kuasa half. And after that, we can integrate one by one. So, the first term, 3 stay as it is. Copy back the function. Power plus 1. So, we get negative 2 here. Don't forget, you have to differentiate what's inside the bracket. So, we get 2. Okay, how about the second function? We have 1 minus 2x to the power of half plus 1. We get 3 over 2. And then divided by the same constant. Last step, don't forget you have to differentiate what inside the bracket. So negative 2 plus c. For final part, you have to simplify your answer. So we will get negative 3 over 4 times with 2x plus 1 squared. As before, kita ada kuasa negatif. So, saya bawa turun bawah terus siap-siap. Alright. Minus with the second function, we have 1 minus 2x to the power of 3 over 2 over 3 plus c. So, that's basically the basic rule of integration.